Hi guys, how are you guys doing? Don't mind me, I'm in my packing orders fit. I hope you guys are doing well. I have a very quick word for you guys. Okay, I do have some words I'm gonna post later on today. You'll see it more so like midday, like 12 o'clock ish, 1 o'clock ish. Okay. My neighbor. Oh, I'm like, why is that Santa Claus? Is that Sonic? I'm like, why is that thing moving? It's a blow up thing. I'm like, why is it moving? Sorry. Okay, so some of you guys are not going to be too fond of what I have to say, but some of you guys are gonna understand, if you get what I'm saying. And I'm gonna have to use a little bit of examples. I like using things that I go through as examples because I can explain it and I understand what you're going through. I can kind of like relate in a way. So I feel like experience is your best teacher, you know. And when you experience something, it's the best when one goes through something to be able to help someone else and to be able to teach someone else so they can have a better understanding, so it's not coming from a hypocritical point of view. Do you get what I'm saying? So some of you guys, God is first and foremost, I understand warfare is not easy. I understand that getting up and starting your day and trying to get things together is not easy. And I understand some of you guys feel like you have to start over again every single day. It feels like same thing, different day, but it always feels like you're starting from scratch the next day. I can't explain it, but I know the feeling, right? And when there's warfare going on and there's people that are trying to suppress you, oppress you, and slow you down and stop you, that doesn't make it easier. And then you may look on the external and you may see people around you who seem like they're getting up to go to work with no problem, they're getting up to go to school with no problem, they're getting up to start their day with no problem. Everybody is like, they get up and they start their day, but when it comes to you, it's like you gotta fight just to start your day. You gotta fight just to do the basics because of what you are going through in the spirit, because of what is going on in the spiritual realm, or because of whoever is trying to afflict you. Okay, and that's one of the things about black magic and ancestral generational curses is when there's an ancient spirit in the bloodline, and this ancient spirit has afflicted individuals in your family specifically, because the ancient spirit will afflict people specifically. Like, for instance, the women in the family, they may not be getting married, or they may the women in the family may have problems with their weight, and then the men in the family, they may be easily influenced by Jezebel's spirit, or they may have multiple children with different people, or you know. So there's different ways how the ancient spirit will afflict people in their bloodlines, and I talk a lot about this in my book, right? So when there is a child of God who is meant to break these afflictions, the ancient spirit is going to target that child of God. The ancient spirit's going to try to make things as hard as possible for that child of God. Okay, however, like God says, trust the plans that I have for you, thus says the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. That means that no matter what is done to you, whether it's from the ancient spirit or no matter if it's from someone who is deliberately trying to afflict you, nobody can stop what God has for you. However, that also means that you're going to have to fight as well. Yes, the Bible says that God says, be still, I will fight for you. But when God says, be still, I will fight for you, he is talking about the spiritual principalities. He's talking about the things that are out of your control, the things that you cannot attend to, right? But God also expects us to fight through prayer. He expects us to fight through fasting. He expects us to fight by resisting the devil, and he will flee. Do you get it? So some of you guys, I understand it's hard, and it's 10 times harder because of what you have to fight. But you have to remember something, that the harder the battle, the greater the reward. And had there not been anything that you had to look forward to, they would not be fighting you this hard. Okay, I'm gonna say this. You guys, many of you guys, these people that are trying to afflict you, and this ancient spirit that is trying to afflict you, do you know that when you are obedient And when you actually put in the work and you do things, even when you are tired, even when you are drained, even when you feel like procrastination is taking over you, do you know that when there's even black magic deliberately being done to you and you're up and you're getting things done and you're fighting to do it, but you know that something's going on, but you are fighting, right? And you are keeping the faith and you have strength in the Lord, through the Lord, sorry. Do you know that you are eating them up? You are eating them up. And when they see that you are fighting and you are jumping over these hurdles like no before, and they start to wonder, like, how is he doing this? Or how is she doing this? Like, I've been suppressing them, I've been doing this, and they still getting up and doing it. You are eating them up. And when every time they see that you have defeated what they're trying to do, and you have went from A to B to C to D to E to F to G, they get triggered. It literally eats them up. And yes, every time you progress and you defeat what they're trying to do to you, it makes them want to retaliate. And it's very sad. And I'm going to say it's very, very sad that people that you don't bother are bothering you, and you don't do nothing to them, and they just don't want to see you happy, and they do everything in their power to suppress you. And then once you defeat what they're trying to do, they get even more mad and retaliate. And then when you defeat that, they get even more mad and retaliate. And it's like, no one told you to bother me in the first place. You should have just sat there and ate your food and drank your water and mind your business and stop monitoring me. Then you won't be so triggered, right? Like, that's how you're feeling. Like, you're like, okay, no one's telling you to watch me. Like, if the more you keep watching me, the more you keep suppressing me, I'm gonna keep winning. And the more I keep winning, you're gonna get triggered and you're gonna retaliate more. But all you have to do is stop. But that's how these people are. They're controlling, they're miserable, they're selfish, okay? And the goal is, no matter what they do, you have to keep going and you have to put in the action to do things no matter what. But many of you guys that understand that faith without works is dead, many of you guys that understand this and that you are fighting no matter what, you are eating them up. Those of you guys who are just waiting and just still like, okay, God, I want the blessing, or God, I need the miracle, and you're not really doing anything to contribute towards that, really think to yourself, okay, it's not to say you're trying to take full control of what God needs you to do, no, but really say to yourself, okay, if God said that I'm supposed to open a business, and the business is supposed to be, let me give you an example. My example is skincare. The business is supposed to be skincare. What am I contributing daily towards that? What am I doing to contribute daily towards that? Are you just sitting there and waiting for God to just drop the business in your lap? Or are you literally knocking on the door? God, I'm knocking. Seek and it shall be answered unto you. Knocking, God opens the door and says, okay, now that you knocked, here's your options. So when you say, okay, God says I should open a skincare business, and this is an example, let me start looking online and getting ideas as to how I want the jars to look, how I want the bottles to look. Let me start looking at different ingredients and studying these ingredients and figuring out what each of these ingredients are good for, how they can benefit one's skin, right? Or skin type. Now let me figure out how I can do my logo. Now, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, and these things don't cost you money. It just takes you picking up your phone and researching and writing a list of the things that interest you down on that list. And now that's you knocking, and now God is going to open the door and show you spiritually, whether it be through vision or dream, exactly which jar he wants you to go with. Because now that you've written that list and you have options, now God can show you. Now you know for sure that God is speaking specifically about something on that list, because you are already aware of it. Okay, so now God can show you a dream and he can show you the jar, and if you look at the list, you'll see there's 10 different types of jars, but now you know which one to go with. So now you can write that down in the finalization of your business, you know, tasks and stuff on that list. And you do get it? So that's still putting in work, and you don't have to have money to do that. Okay, if God said He wants you to write a book, but you've been stagnant, procrastinating, and this warfare has been too much, right? You know, and you're just sitting here waiting for the book to fall in your lap. It won't just fall into your lap. You're gonna have to sit there and say, okay, what can I do to contribute to this? Okay, let me write down a list of all the topics that I'm going to discuss in this book. Under each topic, let me write down specifically what I'm going to discuss in I'm going to jot some pointers of what I'm going to discuss in each topic. And how is this book layout going to be? Let me look for covers. Let me look for this. Let me write a page a day. A page a day. No matter how afflicted I am, no matter how much warfare is afflicting me, let me write a page a day, because a page a day is going to add up like $1 a day adds up. Before you know it, by the end of the year, I have 365 pages. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you really just contribute towards whatever God has specifically told you to work on, and not just sit there and, you know, listen, you have all the right to complain. You have all the right to be frustrated. You have all the right to be upset. Because if I was to sit here and say, oh, you're not supposed to be mad and upset because people are afflicting you, or because you're being targeted by ancient spirit, or because you're breaking a generational curse, you're just supposed to get up and do things, that would be me being a hypocrite, because I complain sometimes too. But I get up, and even though in the midst of my complaining, I'll be getting up and doing things towards whatever God is telling me to work on. I'm contributing still my time and effort and energy towards it. Even if I don't have, let's just say that I don't have the money for the inventory for my skincare or something like that. Before I even had the money for my inventory, I was already researching jars, researching bottles. I already knew like the coloring and everything like that, because God already showed me in the vision. So once God showed me in the vision what he wanted to look like, I went to research to find the exact bottles that he told me to look for. And it took me about 2 months to find it. But the 2 months is what led me to it. The 2 months of researching. Had I not started it, I wouldn't have found it. Do you get it? So contribute towards whatever God told you to work on. And yes, you're going to have days where it's frustrating. And God is not saying you have to be perfect. But God is saying you just pushing through and doing the minimum, and doing what you can is what is actually going to help open that door. Do you know that, right? You know that, right? You received an interview, and you've been begging God for a job for the last 3 months, and you received an interview, but you are feeling afflicted, you're feeling tired, but you're like, okay, I'm gonna fight, and I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna get it together. And you fight, you get up. You're like, man, I don't even have a shirt for the interview. But you find something and you recycle it. Let's say you find an old shirt, you recycle it, and you turn it into something. And you wear that, and you find a way to get there. And you got the job. Just you fighting and you really putting in effort towards it is what opened the door for you. Or you could have just sat there and been like, you know what, God, I can't find any clothes to wear. It's pointless. I'm not gonna go. Forget it. I'm done. I give up. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying this and I'm using these examples, and these may not be what you're like, the examples that you're going through, but I'm just using it to show you guys that doing the minimum required, even in the midst of you fighting, is what is going to open that door for you. Okay, I'm gonna read the scripture for you, and this is James 2 verse 14. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Okay, so let's just say now that one of you guys, God says, okay, well, you are supposed to do real estate. And let's just say that, okay, you already have the book, you have the course, you have everything that you need to study, but you're not studying. Then you can't get frustrated with God and frustrated if you're still in the same place, if you're not picking up the book to study, because that is the minimum that you can do. Do you get it? So And I understand, like I'm saying, I'm not saying that you're not gonna have obstacles and challenges. Like, this warfare is no joke. I get it. Every time I achieve something, they afflict me. Like, once I achieve something, they start the witchcraft again. But I keep soaring. I keep going. No matter what, I keep going. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, no matter what, keep going. Right? I'm telling y'all that whenever you keep going, no matter what they're trying to do to you, and if they're trying to suppress you and they're realizing it's not working, you are going to eat them up. And every time you achieve something, even when they're doing these things, all you're doing is showing them that they're not more powerful than God's will for your life. They're not more powerful than you. They're weak. You get what I'm saying? So continue to eat these people up. Continue to eat up that ancient spirit. Like, continue to just go hard no matter what. No matter what. It don't care. It don't matter how many monitoring spirits are watching you, how many of them wish death on you, how many of them wish hatred on you, how many of them wish failure on you. At the end of the day, as long as you have the faith and you are also doing the bare minimum that God requires you to do, which is the deeds, the action towards it, contributing towards that assignment, you are going to get far. Okay, let their chest continue to burn while you continue to soar. Okay, if they choose to continue to monitor you and watch you, that's their problem. They're doing it to themselves. They're hurting themselves by doing that, by watching you, because you're going to keep soaring no matter what. Okay, and I'm sharing this with those of you guys who are like, I'm tired. Like, every time I try to do something, this happens. Fight. Okay, fight. Say, okay, if I'm too tired to get up and go somewhere, let me just at least find the task that's gonna be beneficial in that moment. If you have something to work on, like a business, right? And you know, okay, printing labels ain't gonna be that hard. I don't have to put too much energy in that. Then start printing the label. I'm just giving you an example. Do you get it? So you get something done. Okay? I love you guys. I just want to share that with you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.